BVI Channel 1, ECOSI, Economy of the Southeast, where we talk about the economic development of Igbo land.
The challenge, the pain, the gain, and the potential of doing business in southeastern Nigeria, the Biafran land. ECOSI, growing the economy of the southeast. Think home.
Remember, in my previous videos, I made mention of bringing to you the series in this program where we'll talk about the economic advancement of Igbo and where we shift from talking about political issues as it affects Igbo land, talking about security matters as it affects Southeast and the rest of them. We are going to be talking, or we're going to be focusing on the economic development of Igbo land. And our point of departure is the program called Southeast Economic Summit, put together by SEREDEC.
Insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results.
Political federalism has to work on the legs of economic federalism. But when you have political federalism and the economy is literally managed, then you have amputated the federalism. It cannot work, and cannot work, and it cannot work.
How do we have state governors and state governments that will begin to take pride in moving beyond just political soundbites to real project development? We can come back here next year with clear projects, or we can come back here next year to work some more.
What international investors will need is transparency, proper transparency. And we also have to think about this pipeline which we have to draw and present to the governor's forum. Not for their endorsement, but for their knowledge and blessing.
Southeast is one of the best region in terms of technical wise. Then we prepare the session. We conducted interviews for some of our top executives, and after shortlisting them, and he told them where to go, no point, not even representing them because of insecurity.
Businessmen and foreign investors, we are assuring you that security will continue to improve in the Southeast. So you are welcome. Thank you.
We are simply helping. SEREDEC is helping to make things happen. SEREDEC is saying, use the talents of our own people to develop this region. That's what we are doing.
Sometimes in December last year, it was organized, and I was unable to bring it up until now because of some of the issues that came up. That was when I lost my wife. So we decided to keep it in the cooler and bring it at the time, because this is not a program you just rush into, because like I said, this program is a university. This program is everything every Igbo man must not miss. And this is a program after watching. You must share it so that you know the direction things are going, so you don't be left in the dark. So you understand that in the midst of all this chaos, there are men and women who are doing everything possible to put Igbo land in the economic map of the world. So we are going to hit the ground running on this program. It is going to come in series and will be published every Friday, where we publish our ECOSI program. Now, to start with, I want to begin from my observation. Coming to that program, the governor of Enugu State, which is supposed to be the host governor, breezed in into the program and breezed out again. Anambra State governor was not there, the deputy governor was not there at all. Bonny State governor came through by proxy, as represented by his deputy, actually. Good. They came late, actually. And the Abia State governor was represented by the deputy, also came very late. Good. Then Imo State is nowhere to be found for the final job. That was my observation that day, and it's disheartening that this kind of a program, which is supposed to be the most important program that the governors, whom from the organization of this program, from the setup of this program, they were supposed to be partners. They were supposed to be the forerunners of this program with SEREDEC. But their body language and the way they put their priorities shows that they don't actually, you know, put in their weight in this, and it's really a minus for them. And I hope subsequently in this program, because it comes up annually, that they will be actively be part of the subsequent programs. Having said that, let us hit the ground running, beginning with the address delivered by a Bonny State governor as presented by his deputy that represented him. All right, let's take a look at that, and I'll be right back.
I want to apologize again on behalf of my governor, who is unable to make it. The nature of governance is better appreciated when you are wearing the shoes. And that's why the host governor just walked in here and told us there's an emergency, and he walked out. But to my governor, he said, if I'm not there, they will not understand. But if you are there, they will appreciate that I did everything possible to come. Because of the impossibility that is on the rack, I had to send my deputy. And that's why I'm here, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. And I haven't come at the time I walked in. I do not know whether I am to give an opening address or closing address. Whichever way. Whatever you get from me still stands as the opening address. May I, on behalf of the Southeast Governors Forum, welcome the distinguished dignitaries and delegates to the 4th Southeast Economic Summit. I view the opportunity to address this auspicious gathering as a great privilege and honor. This summit couldn't have come at a more opportune time for the following reasons, and there are three. One, it is coming at a historic moment in our nationhood, where we seek to diversify our economy with a view to rescuing it from the current monolithic model anchored on a single commodity and placing it on a balanced spectrum that encompasses all economic contributors driven by knowledge and technology. Two, the summit is occurring at a time of unprecedented global innovation and technological paradigm shift called the 4th Industrial Revolution. Technological advancement in the 4th Industrial Revolution, such as blockchain, Internet of Things, and artificial intelligence, will shape the direction of global economy in the coming decades. The Southeast Nigeria cannot afford to miss out in the huge benefits accruing from these breakthroughs. Number three, the agitation for political and economic restructuring of Nigeria is at its crescendo. While the debate rages on, the Southeast can lead the way in creating an enviable economic bloc through interstate collaboration to build a vibrant economic sub-region that can be reckoned with globally. It is these notes that I congratulate the Southeast Governors Forum and SEREDEC for jointly organizing this summit and for choosing the all-encompassing, apt and propitious team, financing Southeast economic development and ease of doing business in the Southeast. It is my avid belief that by the time this team is comprehensively exhausted, the Southeast will be placed in a pole position for macroeconomic advancement. I am convinced that men and women with proven expertise and in-depth knowledge in economic and developmental matters have been assembled, just as we have seen, especially listening to the president of Afro-Exim Bank representative here. I feel that the men assembled by the technical committee to deliberate on this theme of the summit are strong enough to deliver on it. I would therefore not delve in any details into the technicalities of the theme. Permit me, however, in a manner of speaking, to add to the thought processes of the technical experts by bearing my mind on how we can jointly fast-track economic development in the Southeast and position it as an investment destination in Nigeria and beyond. There is no gainsaying the fact that the Southeast of Nigeria is the most resilient, entrepreneurial, and development-oriented region in Africa. We did not only survive the pogrom of 1966 and the devastating war of 1967 to 1970, but have succeeded in rebuilding the lives, businesses, and societies that were needlessly lost during the devastating war. The Southeast of Nigeria today boasts of every critical element required to make it one of the fastest growing regions in the world. The region, if carefully developed, could compete with the other advanced regions of the world, including the Shenzhen province of China, whose economy is only second to the Silicon Valley that was just mentioned a few minutes ago. The Shenzhen province has a GDP of $352.71 billion in 2018, compared to Nigeria's GDP of $398.186 million in the same year. Shenzhen's economic vibrancy is driven mainly by high-tech industries and foreign direct investment. This is my dream for the Southeast region of Nigeria. The Southeast geopolitical zone must therefore muster the political will to harness the opportunities that are bound in the zone in order to realize this dream. In order to achieve this, permit me to ponder on the following points. 1. Collaboration in agriculture and soil mineral development. Number 2. Boosting IGR through strategy and innovation. To fast-track economic and infrastructure development, governments across the Southeast need to enhance their revenue generation through strategic planning and technological innovation. Most of the times, emphasis has been placed on tax collection to generate revenue internally. However, to maximize revenue generation, governments must develop strategies to expand their earning capacities. Some of the areas to develop include: 1. Improve ease of doing business. 2. Encourage entrepreneurship. 3. Target the youth. 4. Reform the apprenticeship scheme. And 5. Create jobs and reduce unemployment. And this is my vision as the governor of Ebonyi State and the chairman Southeast Governors Forum for the entire Southeast. It is therefore my singular honor and privilege to have the opportunity to address this great assembly at this all-important summit. I wish you all fruitful celebration and a pastoral outcome. Thank you very much.
That was a very wonderful speech delivered by Ebonyi State Governor, as read by the Deputy. But we need more than words. Yes, we need more than words to get things done. And that is why we have to go towards the preliminary section, where the I's are dotted and the T's crossed, where actions, deliberate plan of actions will be discussed. And the first speaker that spoke in that preliminary section punctured on Southeast Regional Banking and Southeast Economic Restructuring, or you may call it Economic Integration of the Southeast. Let's take a look at that. I'll be right back.
And the question is, how do we go about it? It is not why. The why has been established. The question is where. Three-pronged things. Where are we? Where do we want to go? And how? We know where we are. We know where we want to be. And the question is how. And this is what these experts have to tell us. And God help them if they don't succeed. May I thrust this by your right hand? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I will take off from the backdrop of the presentation made by the President of Advert, Professor Rama, as well as the address presented by His Excellency the Governor of Igbo State, Governor Mahi, because those two presentations, I will say, constitute a good summary of the diagnosis of the issues which call for a number of actions, including financing actions. And in that respect, I appreciated the very creative and strong suggestions and proposals made by the Governor of the Afrexim Bank, particularly as it relates to such institutions as having a regional wealth fund. So let me take off from there to say, thinking in terms of where SEREDEC and SEFCO have been, as you know, SEREDEC is the Southeast Regional Economic Development Company. And SEREDEC, in its wisdom, established the Southeast Finance Company, of which some of us here, including K.O. Carlo and Professor Wabara and my humble self, have been made to help nurture. That is the Southeast Finance Company. The Southeast Finance Company, SEFCO, is supposed to be the project financing organ of SEREDEC. And so we have been toying with a number of approaches to deal with the problem of project financing. In that context, it became obvious to us that taking into account the special capabilities of a formal bank, including its peculiar capability to raise deposits, its peculiar capability in terms of convening power, the fact that even in things it cannot directly handle, its type of credibility and strength enables it to congregate a number of other factors and the influences. So we thought that it is critical as part of what SEFCO wants to do for the Southeast through SEREDEC. It is critical for SEFCO to be taken in terms of a regional bank. And therefore, we have made a proposal to the board of SEREDEC, and they have given SEFCO the mandate to go ahead to establish a regional bank focusing on development of the Southeast, particularly on projects on infrastructure. Of course, emphasis has been made in this hall, particularly through the address of the Governor of Igbo State, on the issue of the human aspect of development. So it's going to be a regional bank focusing on both physical and human infrastructure. Taking that forward, we appreciate that among the very first steps is to have a strong feasibility study and business plan, with which we would make a request or an application to the Central Bank of Nigeria to have a regional bank. And because of that, PricewaterhouseCoopers PwC has already been commissioned and has reached an advanced stage in producing a feasibility study and business plan with which we are going to make an application to the Central Bank for a regional bank. As you know, there are, in the Nigerian context, there are three types of banks: international banks, national banks, and regional banks. And given our context, we thought we should focus on applying for a regional bank with development orientation. My diagnosis that a challenge for Nigeria as a whole, and Southeast in particular, is that while we operate fiscal federalism, or while we operate federalism politically to a more or less reasonable extent, when it comes to the economy, what we operate actually is a unitary system. And so that is actually one of the constraints to development in Nigeria, including the Southeast, because we operate a unitary economic system, which, as he pointed out, was actually caused by the fact of confusion and illusion and deception of oil revenue. Okay? So it should be clear to us that one of the ways to break that jinx is to go regional, as the president of the African Bank advised. It's a good way of breaking the jinx of overdependence on the center. So the emphasis that, because we have to get the context, first of all, Nigeria was not going to develop, Nigeria was not going to diversify because of a unitary economic system. Because we're operating, that in one of these papers, we refer to it as amputated federalism. See, the political federalism has to work on the legs of economic federalism. But when you have political federalism and the economy is unitarily managed, then you have amputated the federalism. It cannot work, and cannot work, and it cannot work. So one of the ways, and we're all caught in it, all parts of the federation are caught in this web of deception. So it's for the Southeast to be able to escape from it. One of the strategies is to go regional in all fronts, in line with the various propositions made by Professor Rama in his paper. Thank you very much.
Thank you. That's a good contribution. I think, as the chairman of this preliminary session, I think I have some powers, don't I? Good. I would like us to concentrate our discussion on what is achievable immediately. That is, I would like to forget the idea of the bank. So let's talk about the present. You know, I always like the word present. You know, when Chile became democratic, one of the professors said, the past shall never return. The present has become, and the future is here. So this is the future, the present is our future. So let's talk about how do we take the first step. The first step is not banking. The first step is not regional fund. So please, how do we get the states working? The governor of Igbo State mentioned one project. The the project of Uburu. How do we get such things implemented? You know, let's take what is close at hand. They said there is a rice mill, very big rice mill, lying idle. How do we get it implemented today, tomorrow? I'm not knocking on Abraham's banking, neither am I knocking at Professor Orama's wealth, wealth fund, isn't it? Sovereign wealth fund. We are not suffering. So we are self-sovereign. Okay. So we are self-sovereign if our governors make us self-sovereign, isn't it? Okay. So please, you agree to my suggestion? Okay, thank you.
That was a very wonderful and smart intervention by the chairman of that preliminary section. It's very wise. You know, these men, these elderly men, they are loaded with wisdom. I understand the issue of setting aside. Let's start from the ones that we can do now, from the known to the unknown, the one that is within our control. Let us begin with those areas that we can do without, you know, external influence, like the registration of a regional bank and all the rest of them. Is very understandable. And I want to tell us that sometimes I observe that we are very careful when it comes to some of the important issues. We should be very bold to address. Yes. You see, our people, I don't know, maybe it's as a result of the war experience during that genocide war against our people, or the deficit mentality, will I call that we are too careful to stamp our foot and demand for what is rightfully ours in this country. But before then, I want to say this. Before we can be bold enough to stamp our foot on the ground and do or demand for what is rightfully ours, we will not be able to get to that point if our political leaders are cowards. Just like our counterparts in the north. They don't care. They do things with audacity because it is rightfully theirs. I want to make this brief observation because it is very important. Now, let me share with you this brief experience when we tried to register BVI Channel 1 as a media company. So many people say it is impossible, that they will see it as Biafra and it will not be registered and the rest. And actually, that was exactly what wanted to play out. When we brought out the name, we even, you know, followed that line of being very careful. We say Bia Voice International, register it for us. And they said they will not register it because it is Biafra. And I said, if you are saying it is, complete it. We said Bia Voice, you said it is Biafra, complete it. Because it is not even against the law. There is no law in Nigeria that prohibits Biafra to be registered anywhere. Just like the Arawas have their own Arawa 24, and it's a media company operating, informing their people. Then why can't we have such? Oduduwa, they have theirs. Why can't we have ours? So what I'm saying in essence is that there is a time when it comes when we have to stamp our foot on the ground and demand for what is rightfully ours. Because we cannot be playing this victim stuff, you know, or having this deficit mentality. No, we just have to. Even the Bible acknowledges that the kingdom of God suffereth violence, and only the violent take it by force. The Igbo land we seek, the paradise we seek in Igbo land may not come, or will never come, by it may serving on a plate. No, we have to demand for it. So that is what I'm saying with respect to that, and it's just an observation anyway, and my personal opinion. Now, let's move into some other issues that was raised during the preliminary section.
May I now hand this to my left? Okay. Everybody I give a gift has already that gift. Okay. Everybody,
3 minutes. Okay. Good afternoon. So I think for me, we need to start from the very fundamental understanding of what private finance will be in our debate in whatever we are going to be doing in the Southeast. We need to first understand that for private finance to come into any business, a few things must be in place. That's critical, and Adane is one of it. There's so many projects, Dave Pascal, in the Southeast, and the issue has never been the lack of ideas in the Southeast. We keep a lot in our minds. The ideation process for us in the Southeast, and when I talk about the policymakers, those in governance. I was happy when the Deputy Governor of Ebonyi State, who is my friend, we've had this banters back and forth. I think it's very important that those in the policy space are honest about their desire to be able to set a private financing process in the Southeast. Very important. And that these things are not timelined by election cycles. These things are actually things that we should look beyond each election cycle to be able to put in place. It's critical. So just to do that, for us, each state governor, as long as they think within their boundary, geographical boundary, might begin to work on not only, I guess, what Professor Barton and those that have put this on are thinking. A regional approach to this must require that we understand that projects in itself have to be prioritized regardless of what state it is sitting in. And when that happens, it helps us move from ideation to the process of actually setting a project, the origination process. So what I have seen in the work we have done around project and financing from the private space is that most people are nervous about bringing money into projects because of the risk component. People will not bring funds into private finance, be it in either that is already there in a cement factory, whatever it is, if they are not sure that the risk exposure is not too much. We went for the Enyimba City project, which for me, I think is one of the projects that reflect a regional approach to where the Southeast needs to be going to. And the reason I say this is that if you look at it end to end, everything that has been presented here in the now, from a center of excellence to social and economic infrastructure to climate resilient infrastructure, all these things are reflected in that single project. And I'm thinking to myself, how do we have state governors and state governments that will begin to take pride in moving beyond just political sound bites to real project development? We can come back here next year with clear projects, or we can come back here next year to talk some more. It has to be a decision we have to take.
Oh, yes.
A rising tide lifts all boats. And an example of that is Enyimba project. And I like that Enyimba project, not because I'm connected to it, but because of what made me interested in it, and it's two projects I'm connected to. One is the geometric project, which is somebody thinking beyond self. Enyimba thinking beyond self. I mentioned this, me. To think of me is me. Me is me. We think us. The state, each state should think beyond itself. Because then the market expands. And with good roads, it took me only 2 hours, 15 minutes from Owerri Airport to Enugu. It will take me almost the same amount of time from Ikoyi to Ikeja. So, if we can think beyond our states, so that if there is, the governor mentioned Ubru, the governor Igbo mentioned about Ubru salt, why shouldn't we expand investors beyond Ebonyi and make it a regional project? I mentioned Adani. Why can't we do it? What international investors would need is transparency, proper transparency. And we also have to think about this pipeline which we have to draw and present to the Governors Forum, not for their endorsement, but for their knowledge and blessing. I'm choosing my words carefully. Your Excellency, you are here, but I choose my words carefully. I said, not for endorsement, but for blessing. That it makes a lot of difference. So, and I always like to think about Igbo Airport. Okay, you think it's a special thing, yes. But there is no difference between Uburu Salt and Igbo Airport. Igbo Airport was financed, is it by only Igbo people? No. It was financed by Igbos. We can do that for other projects. Now I throw this to the other side of the table. Since every table here now is a walking table. My president. I call him my president because he is the president of the Igbo Lagos.
And he is my chairman because he's not only my leader, my boss, but also the chairman of Igbo Lagos Elders Council. So, now I tremble, sir. I want to appreciate the panelists. They've made valid and vital points. And I picked a number of issues which I think are so wonderful, but I'm keeping it for myself and for SEREDEC. But there are some things I want to point out. Like I said during the opening remarks, we need implementable ideas, not ideas that are classical and intelligence-based, but looking at our environment, looking at the way we are, we should come up, generate some implementable ideas that will work specifically in the Southeast, specifically among the Igbos. When we talk about unitary system, especially in the economic sector, there is a way we are in Igbo land which is peculiar to us. So when we are talking about how to go forward, we must remember that Igbos deal so much with personality cults. So you can't federate a personality cult-based environment because you know, you are talking to someone and he's telling you, which means that you have lesser equity concerning this land than myself. So, and Obama once said that what we require in Africa is strong institutions and weak personalities. I know you are here. I know you are here. Okay, I went to South Africa sometime to look for investors to invest in the Southeast so that we could arrange funds. And one great man who has so much money, he told me to go, that he would come back. I provided him more information. And then they invited me back to South Africa. I went. And the big man said, look, I have studied Southeast, that is not in the World Economic Map. I said, what do you mean? Southeast not in the World Economic Map. And said, because of that, he cannot give out his funds for investment in such environment. So I think one thing we will do is to put Southeast in the World Economic Map.
With UNEC. Okay, basically the topic is infrastructure financing. Fantastic topic. Then I have these contributions to make because we are looking at the present. How do we start? The first is, it has been mentioned, infrastructure bond. We can actually structure infrastructure bond targeting Southeast. The second one is pension funds. In Canada, in Australia, most countries are using pension funds. As a matter of fact, Canadian teachers pension fund funded projects in UK. How do we go about pension funds? We can actually generate pension funds from the formal sector, the working class. The second category is from the informal sector. Our brothers in the market, we can educate them on the need to pay pensions for project development, especially the young ones who still have age, so that by the time they will attain 60, if they started at the age of 25, the maturity of the project must have reached. And the last one, we can get funds from the churches. This sector don't pay tax, but they have lots of money. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And on that note, I will ask my Lord to make his own contribution.
I think I have all the money in my pocket, so you can come again. Mr. Chairman, about 4 years ago when we were about to take off in SEREDEC, part of what we struggled with is the tension between government and the private sector. And we struggled with that for almost 6 months. Even during the process of registering SEREDEC, it was a big tension on our part to make wise decision until finally the decision was made for the SEREDEC to be an independent body to drive the economy of the Southeast. Then, there is no way you can go too far in a developing economy if you do not carry government along with you, especially in Africa, particularly in Nigeria, more importantly in Igbo.
That's a very wonderful section, and I believe getting the funds, private funds, to develop an Igbo is very important, and that is what this section, really addressed. And we appreciate you for watching this far.